Hello there everyone, my name's Colin, welcome to Onion Skin. In the previous many videos we've been preparing this character here for our cutout animation and he's all rigged up, ready to go. So today we're going to be doing some test animation, make sure it moves well before we make a full, actual episode of something with this guy. So we're just going to be fiddling around with some of the parts and make sure nothing goes horribly wrong. So to do this, the things I'm going to need is to have layer properties open here so we can see everything that the layers are made up of and any statistics that may come in useful. Each layer at the moment is visible for 1 frame each. So what we need to do is make it visible for the duration of our animation. So up until, say, frame 300, I'm going to select all the way down like this. Right click and go to extend exposure. There we go. All of the drawing layer elements expand out to that point and we can now play with it. So what we need to do is make sure animation mode is on, this little yellow running man. Press that. So now every movement we make is going to be automatically keyframed, which means it's going to save its position, and if we move its position it will transition automatically between those 2 points. So what we can do first of all is collapse each of these pegs and we can get each part down to its root. The killbot itself peg collapses as well. Now, something very important to keep in mind is whenever you lay a keyframe down on a closed peg, it will plant a keyframe on every single layer contained within it. So the killbot one here, I'm going to place down a keyframe by pressing this button here. Red dot appears. Again, if you don't have these switches, right click and go to timeline view, they will appear. Now if I open up this again, notice a keyframe has appeared all the way down inside of everything. Sometimes you want this, sometimes you don't. In this case we do, because I want to be able to save his whole body position. So I'm going to close that up again, and on frame 20, hit keyframe again, and you see another line, another dot has appeared connected by this line, and that has appeared all within it. So if I go up to frame 20 and I start messing with its position, it's going to automatically animate everything. So now with the free transform tool selected, I can just go up into here and start clicking on different parts and move them around, and it will animate accordingly. So try and only rotate stuff. If you accidentally grab onto the edges, it's going to squash and stretch things, but normally that looks pretty bad. So we're just going to be rotating and making sure that everything looks alright. Sometimes we may need to move things. See, his elbow is falling a little bit off. So I'm going to move the elbow around, the hand up there like that. Let's do something similar for this arm. This movement's probably going to look super dumb, but that's okay. We're just testing stuff, Okay, so first evidence of our test comes into play here. Just the torso on its own moves, but it takes the waist with it. Now I don't actually want it to do that. I want the torso to be independent from the waist, but I want it to take the head, the arms, and everything along with it. So we're going to do some reordering there, but first you can see that this animation is working, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to expand this all the way up and start our reordering process by, oh geez, how was I going to do this? Torso will come up above there. And the head, shoulders, and everything inside it will go nested inside the torso itself. Meanwhile, I think the whole thing should go inside the waist, maybe? Or maybe I'll leave that separate. I don't know, let's pull the waist out for now and see how that works. Okay, so torso is now above. It's probably going to mess up the imaging of it, yes. So remember last time we did some 3D nudging, so I'm going to do that again by selecting the body and going option down. And we'll fix up the shoulders as well, down. And everything to do with the head needs to come up as well. So I select the head, pull that down towards us. Now a problem will appear. Oh, the collar and tie as well. Where are they? Collar and tie. There we go. Okay, now a problem will appear because we've done 2 keyframes. We have actually keyframed the depth as well. So as we animate forwards, it's going to do the movement okay, but then on the last frame, everything's going to flip to their original position. So this is why we spend time testing before doing full animations. So remove those keyframes. Now let's do a second test and see how everything moves this time. So we're just going to be repeating this process until we can push the character as far as we wish and nothing will, break. So this time around, we do a very similar kind of pose movement. Move that around there, that around there. Can we have his whole body move back? Oh, yes we do. That looks pretty good. What should we do? What's this over there? There we go. The head, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to just grab because they're all nested inside one invisible peg, so I need to pick up head peg there. Notice that I'm touching on the keyframe itself. So now I can rotate the head, and if I want to, I can animate individual facial expressions too. So move those down and maybe open up his mouth just a tad. Alright, so that's a movement done. There we go. Animate like that. So animation works, but he looks a bit clunky. So after this first initial movement, we're going to test out timing and easing. So this is going to be moving the keyframes about so each body part will have a bit more believability to it and speed things up and down in a believable way as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is some easing. So I can select all this stuff here. Actually, let's try collapsing it and doing it just from that one layer. I think that will work. And up here on the top left, this is an easy ease. You can do easing manually, but there's also a bunch of presets that are quite common. So hit the down arrow and you can see a lot of these. My favorite is this one in the middle, this S shape here. And this will automatically cause a speed up and slow down throughout all of the animations. There we go. So already things look a bit nicer and a bit more believable. If we want to displace things a bit, we can do that as well. So I'm going to pick up everything to do with the head and bring them forwards just 2 frames like that. And we'll probably get a little bit more life to it. Also, if there we go. So his head reacts a little bit afterwards. That looks pretty cool. The next test I'd like to do is a bit of bounce back so the hand goes further than it needs to and comes to rest afterwards. So this top hand here, check this out. What I'm going to do is circle select all of that with the free transform tool. You notice they all light up so I can see where their pegs are positioned over here. And you'll notice something that makes our lives a little bit tricky, and that's that all the layers aren't stacked up quite as nicely as we would wish. We can't just grab all those keyframes and move them around. So something that we can do to start cleaning up our workflow and only give us the information that we need at this point is a button that, alas, does not exist in Essentials. What a poo. So what I'm going to do is deselect everything, hit the background. Notice, however, the color card is turned on. We don't want that, so I'm going to lock that layer. You are now locked. And circle select this whole arm. And its hierarchy will light up. The shoulder pad right appears. So I'm going to select everything to do with shoulder right. I'm going to select all of these keyframes. I'm going to copy them and paste them a little bit further down the line. Let's say there. So what I'm going to do here is it reaches up, has its concluding position, and continues to stay put. So on this set, the first set, I'm going to push it beyond its ending position. So we'll have some bounce back, right? Check this out, this will make sense in a moment. So it's just going to be slight, just a little bit more than it would have been. So notice that each part I'm animating independently, so it's going to have a little bit of a whip action to it, like that. But it's not very believable yet because we've eased this one to slow down towards this position. So I'm going to select all of these, and rather than going to the preset one, we're going to go all the way over to this button here. This is called Ease, Set Ease for Multiple Parameters. Open that sucker up, And we get a graph, a chart, whatever, that shows how much every given keyframe is moving. We can see it's got 28 functions selected. So that means every layer and every parameter within those layers is being adjusted with whatever we do here. By going apply previous, we can navigate through the animation itself and we can see what's happening in the middle. This is the keyframe when it reaches its highest most point. You can see it slows down and then appears to move quite dramatically. So what I'm going to do is pull these in to about there. So it's got a bit of a spike to it. It's a little bit rounded, but it is quite spiky. This end is quite extreme. I want to bring that down to about 50, so that will match up with the one at the beginning. So it's going to end and conclude its movement at the same speed, and these ones we're just going to improvise until we think will look right. Notice that I'm hitting apply as well to lock our decision in place and then closing to close the window. So let's look at that. Yeah, I think we got it first time. If there's anything else we change, it would probably just be to bring those keyframes in, speed up the movement a tad. There we go. But notice that it has messed up our numbers, so we need to go back in and fix that up. Alas, it doesn't take it. It doesn't take our decisions with us. It changes them relatively. There we go. Let's see how that looks. What's that? Still too much, isn't it? I liked it how we had it before. Cool, so we can see it in action as well by turning on the onion skin. Remember, everything red is stuff that's happened previously, everything green is stuff that's about to come up. So we can see how dramatic a movement is going around, so that's looking okay. Alright, a couple of good tests. Next, let's see how well his feet go. So for this one, this body isn't necessarily built for a full walk cycle at the moment. We may do one in a later video, but for now I just want to see how his whole body will pivot on those knees. So for the sake of keeping everything tidy, I'm going to collapse the kill button again and create another universal keyframe. So his whole body will be still for a bit and locked in place there. And do another one a bit further up. Okay, here I'm gonna pick up the torso and the waist portion and bring it all down like that. Next, what am I gonna do next? Pick up the thigh portions. So what I'm gonna do is pick up the whole body, circle select the whole thing, and bring it down just a bit like that. And what we're going to do is turn the onion skin back on, bring the left bracket out to its beginning position, and we want these feet to stay in their original spot, but you know, tilted like it's bending at the knees. So I'm going to pull that up. So see how the shadow will move around so we can see where it started from. So I'm going to put it there like that, but rotate it at the knees. This will be a little bit fiddly, because remember the top thigh is parented to it. So I'm going to get that exactly how I want it to be first, which I should have done, but I didn't because I'm a poo. And then rotate the knee so that will fit, and get the toe so it matches up pretty much with how the original would have looked. How's that, like that? Nope, I need the toes to be touching. There's that there. Okay, so another reason why we test. So we're getting a bit of a curved tween for some reason, and it's not clear why. I'm going to get rid of some nonsense so we can see what is happening. I'm going to turn off the torso layer while it's collapsed, and therefore everything inside of it as well. So we can see just the waist and the knees and all of the wackadoo animation that is happening. So why is it doing that? We can have a look at the motion path itself by right-clicking along the camera view icon, and we see these controls appear. The one on the leftmost spot is show control, show movement or whatever. And now I can see what's happening. Hello, interjecting really quickly from the future. As I'm about to go recorrecting these body parts, etc., I accidentally left animation mode on. Everything is fixed, but there is a keyframe there. So if I were to remove the keyframes at any point, my whole hierarchy is going to break and reset to its original position. So I'm going to have to do it again with animation mode off. So just keep that in mind as I'm doing this. To remove the animation, then fix the skeleton with animation mode off before doing further animation tests. The foot is taking into account not only its own movement, but the thigh above it as well. And this is causing a bunch of issues. So what I think we're going to need to do is flip the hierarchy, move the foot to being move the thigh to being nested inside the foot, rather than the foot inside the thigh like it is now, right? Yeah. So pull that out, and then put the upper thighs inside the feet. Oh boy, some weird stuff's happened here. I'll have to delete that keyframe to get everything back to where it was. Where is that foot gone? What have I done? So I'm going to delete these keyframes to reset their positions back to where they were. Turn off that onion skin. I'm going to have to reset these so that they are underneath each other. So I'm going to pull out the foot, pull out that foot. When I pulled out right foot, it's reset back to its original position, so it's a complete copy of that one. So I've got to keep that in mind as I now put the thigh upper inside the feet. Pegs. Yes. So foot left, foot right. So foot right gets flipped. I'm going to have to reflip that one as well, and then reposition both. So you can see the process is a bit fiddly, and a lot of tutorial people will go through the whole process first to make sure that they've got the whole thing down pat. But I think doing it like this and allowing you to see the potential hazards that can come along the way, and I guess if you're following the series all the way through, getting you to fix those hazards will better prepare you for keeping an eye out for this kind of stuff as you're doing your own projects. Alright, need to bring the foot forwards. It ain't coming forwards. Why ain't it coming forwards? It's not coming forward, so let's have a look at its parameters like we did last time. Oop. Behave yourself. Alright, pick up that foot, and it's not moving. Do I perhaps just need to move the thigh backwards instead? Is it going? Yes, I had to reorder their Z-space positioning as well. Get that foot right, and then reposition the thigh as well. Sorry for being so fiddly, everyone. There we go. Alright, so that is all good. However, I'm going to want to remove the keyframes to the left. Notice that? Oh, yuck. Alright. So with this new set of keyframes in, we can start animating its new position. First we need to set up The new pivot points, the upper legs are now going to be rotating at the knees. Oh jeez. And the feet will be rotating at the base of the foot there, so it looks like it's kind of moving on its toes, if that makes sense. And what I need to do here is, with the free transform tool, I'm going to select everything, move it down a bit, just as we did before. And turn on the onion skin so I can see what we are doing. Move the foot back to its original position. Rotate the foot. Rotate the thighs. Here's an error. I didn't put the pivot point right on the edge of the knees like I should have. Where should I put it? I think about there. Yeah, that looks good. Alright, let's see how that animates. Nice. Alright, that looks cool. Let's see how it looks with everything else turned on. Turn the whole body. The waist goes down, so we need to animate the rest of the character using the torso peg. Using the torso drawing, and move it down accordingly as well. There you go. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Alright, cool. So that's a few good tests there. We'll be able to ease that thing as well, but we have legs that work, we have a torso that works, we have arms that work, and we have a head and face that works. So everything is safe. We can start animating a story with this thing and not encounter, hopefully, won't encounter any really weird surprises along the way. So next for this series, I've shown you the method for people using Harmony Essentials and Advanced. Essentially anyone who doesn't have the node network at their disposal. If you're using Harmony Premium, then you have a bunch of other tools that you can use, which is awesome. So you can, so I'm going to be building a second robot character using Harmony Premium, and I'm going to show you the advantages of what the node network can do to speed up the process and get another, and get a similar result to this, but how the workflows tend to be a bit different and can be flexible. So I encourage you to practice rigging up your own characters in Harmony Essentials as well. Come up with something brand new, see how it turns out. I'd love to see what you do. Throw a link to it in the description or email me at animateonionskin@gmail.com. Have some fun, and I'll see you in the next one.